coming to you live with the Harry the Big Dog 100 video live stream challenge. 30 days, 100 videos. I'm on video number 80. What is it, 83? I think it's 83. Let me check and see. Yep, 83. Okay. All right, so today I'm in the kitchen, so I'm doing some kitchen work, cleaning up, and I'm doing some multitasking. But the topic of the day is making little steps for big results. So I want you to think about that for a moment. How often do you feel that you've got to have everything together before you can actually launch your stuff? Think about that. We'll be right back after this. Okay, and we're back. So all of you who are watching on replay, make sure that you pop in replay in the comments. Let me know who's in here live. Okay, so you know what? I thought that this was an important topic. You'll hear some dishes going. But I thought this was an important topic because, you know, I came up under that mindset that you don't put something out there unless it's like perfectly done, it's like together and all that. And I'm going to tell you what the fallacy with that is. And by the way, if you haven't already liked the page, TJH Media LTD, go ahead and like it. And if you haven't as of yet, if you find this information is valuable, share the love. All right, so yeah, I've been having some amazing conversations lately. And those conversations are with people who are taking some major action. I just got off the phone with Regina and with Shauna, two different calls. Regina of Regina's Baking Academy and Shauna of Shauna's Sweet Spot. And look, let me tell you, these ladies are taking this whole live stream and their business building practices by storm. And I'm going to tell you what I appreciate about what everybody who's involved in this challenge is doing. We're all taking imperfect action. And that imperfect action piece is easier said than done because there's so much that we have to override in ourselves. Harry, the big dog in the house. Don from San Diego, good day to you, sir. Yeah, so there are things that we have to override, and that overriding has to do with our training. See, and whether it is directly or indirectly, we're trained to not launch something until it's perfect, not get out there, not put our stuff out there until things are perfect. Let me tell you what the problem with that is. It's a false premise. How do I know this? Well, because the major multinational corporations, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, pretty much Apple, you name them, and none of them ascribe to that mindset or those practices. If it were so, then we would not have a thing called bug fixes. There would be no need to fix bugs because everything would be perfect when we got it. But what do they have? They have updates, they have bug fixes, they have beta testers, they have a marketplace full of folks who are willing to invest in their things because they've got a community around them. They invest in their product, and then they expect that over time, over a series of months, that product that they paid hard-earned cash for is going to be fixed. And what do? When the new product comes out? They buy again. And buyers continue to buy from the same company because that relationship is there and the company has managed their expectations by letting them know that they're always going to be updating and tweaking and all of that. And it doesn't stop the money flow. As a matter of fact, their money flow is increased. Imperfect actions, absolutely. So why do we hesitate on making actions? There's a problem with that. We will sit there and in our own little world think that we've got to have something perfect before we step out. Now, there's a little bit of hypocrisy wrapped up in that mode of operandus, right? The mode of operating. Because the hypocrisy is that we tell everybody to model ourselves after the successful people in our space. We're told, hey, if you're hearing from somebody and they're not where you want to be, don't listen to them. But yet we still will sit and listen to folks that tell us, hey, it's got to be perfect before you step out there. Don't put it out there and get yourself embarrassed. Don't put it out there and get yourself hurt. Don't suffer rejection, because if you do, then nobody's going to trust you. Nobody's going to believe in you, which is totally false. Consistent communication is the key. What do these major companies do? They all put imperfect product out there knowing that it's imperfect, and then they wait for the marketplace to make the corrections, the adjustments. The marketplace says, hey, you know what? We don't like this. This thing isn't working very well. And they said, oh, what was that you said? Oh, okay. Let us know. Can you go and fill out a trouble ticket for us so we can get our text on it right away to fix that for you? And then you're like, oh, sure. Now, internally, you're thinking like, wow, they're really on it. You never stop to think, wait a minute, they put out an imperfect product. They didn't bother fix these obvious bugs. Why is that? And why am I okay with that? But I'm not okay with putting my own stuff out there because I don't want to be ridiculed or judged because it's not perfect. Can I tell you something? I want you to write this down. Perfection is a myth because it's all subjective. My perfect and your perfect are two entirely different things. So if I make something to perfection, it's going to be to my perfection, not yours. And so when I put it out there, in my vacuum of thinking, I think, hey, this is great. It's perfect. It's everything that I need it to be. But I haven't consulted with you, my marketplace. So then what ends up happening is that you start finding errors in it. And if I don't have the right mindset, I'm going to tell you that what you found is wrong, but you're the one who has to use it. I'll tell you, well, no. I ran through it and everything is fine because it does exactly everything that I need it to do. Now, you're either going to go away thinking that you're wrong, you are uneducated, you're ill-equipped to let me know that this thing that I just put out there isn't working for you, or you're going to say it's not working for you, and then I'm going to listen to you and say, oh, okay, well, let me now go and fix it. Now, as a major multinational corporation, I'm going to do the latter. I'm going to hear what you've had to say, and then I'm going to start making the adjustments. Now, all the while, I've got your money. I've got all your money already. And then you exercise the patience as I fix the thing that you've already paid me full price for. You didn't get installments. You've got a phone that you just bought from me. You've got a computer that you just bought from me. You paid for everything out the gate. And then you're okay with my taking the time to go through fixing bugs and things glitching and all of that, and then me fixing more bugs and all of that, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me, Jason, you're wrong. But I don't think I am. Matter of fact, I know I'm not. The evidence shows me that I'm not wrong. I'm right on the money. See, yes, but buying something with your money is different than taking someone's money as a business. Ha! Absolutely wrong, Don. I respectfully push back on that. The reason being is that if that were the case and organizations weren't being successful by taking someone else's money in order to run their business and then to make their fixes, we wouldn't have the major organizations that we pay money to, good money, daily for them to stay in business. Look at Microsoft, look at Apple, look at Google, look at all of those that we regularly use. They're constantly fixing bugs, constantly taking our money in the process. You see, they're constantly doing it. But we hesitate because in our human thinking or our non corporate thinking, our non business building thinking, we don't function or format our product properly. We don't format our conversations properly to the marketplace. We don't manage expectations properly. And we get our emotions involved instead of moving on pushing the product out there because we know ultimately the product itself is amazing. We just need to get the feedback now to make it amazing for you. Okay. I need to get your feedback to make it amazing for you because other than that, I'm making an assumption that what I've created is amazing for you because it's amazing for me. So I've got to step back from my own, limited perspective, and I've got to actually put it out there and say, Don, tell me what you think. How does this work for you? Anything else need fixing? Do you need a correction anywhere? And then I'm going to wait for you to say, Jason, this really sucks over here. I like this. I like the design, but every time that I go to do this, make a call, I drop a call. Oh, really? How often does that happen? Can you take a screenshot for me? Send in the trouble ticket. Let me know exactly what's taking place. Matter of fact, let me go into your phone now and look at some of the codes and things that are going on behind the scenes. Send that to me. And you're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Because now you think I'm helping you out. When in essence, you're helping me out. I knew that the product doesn't work. I knew it didn't work, but I knew that for me to start fixing it, I would have to pay more money to undo what I'm doing in a vacuum than to just put it out there, let people tell me what's wrong with it. Okay? Who have been trained to allow this behavior. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Ford and other car makers have been sued because of faulty vehicles. Absolutely, they have. And now, from a business perspective, the amount of the lawsuit is far less than the amount that it would take them to retool by fixing something the wrong way because they corrected in a vacuum. So they've got to now go through, see what's going on and all that. And they have insurance for certain things. So they have structured themselves in a way where they can get the necessary feedback from the marketplace. And then they come back around and improve, or they make a recall. So the recall, they come through, everybody now drives their car over to a Ford dealership. And what does that give them an opportunity to do? It gives them the opportunity not only to fix the issue, but then to have another touch for that customer in order to upsell them on something else. So everything they're taking as an opportunity in order to build their business by adding value, okay, perceived value to the customer. And it all comes down to perception. It's perceived value. So we don't take the necessary little steps. Instead, we think that we have to make major steps and compete with the multinational corporations when we don't. No, yeah, it's not right at all. You're absolutely right. Let me see. Replying to Don, they're way more dangerous. And other car makers, exactly, yeah. Replying to Don, way more dangerous. Yes, yeah. Oh, they're totally, totally way more dangerous. Yeah. You see, when you step out with your product, for one, the assumption is not that you're putting something bad out there. You can only get it up to a certain point before you absolutely need outside information in order to make the adjustments and the tweaks. So you get it foundationally right, and then you've got to make sure that the pillars that you operate your project or business off of are sound. And then once you get the feedback from your marketplace, you start to tweak. Okay, how can we make it better? Okay, what does and doesn't work for you? Okay, so you have your beta groups and your research teams. You have the folks who are working in front of and behind the scenes in order to make your product or your project amazing. But if you don't start out understanding that you cannot be perfect, it's impossible to start out perfect because you don't even know how your marketplace is going to respond to your particular that you may have a product. It's like you may have ice cream, but you don't know what your marketplace is going to say about your ice cream. There's thousands of ice creams out there, but you don't know what they're going to say about yours. So you've got to put it out there and then you've got to wait for the feedback. The feedback could come in a number of ways. A, they buy it and then they never buy again. So you got to reach out. Hey, I noticed that you bought this, but you only bought once. Is there a reason? Is there something that we can do better? Or they buy it and they buy it and they buy it. And then they say, you know what? I really don't, it tasted a little flat. Oh, well, how come you bought again? Well, we really like your story. We really like how you show up in the marketplace. It feels like we're buying from our family or our friend. And so that's why we continue to support. Oh, well, thank you so much for your support. What can we do to make it better? You see, so you're constantly getting feedback. So then little by little, you are building your company out, you're building your brand out, you're building your product or your project out so that the folks who are partakers of it can say, you know what? Well, they started out, they were a little janky, but we stuck with them and now look at them. They are the best ice cream on the market, bar none. They've upgraded the quality of their products that they source and the price went up a little. However, you can't compare to the value. This is the best, the most richest butter, most butteriest, ice cream that we've got. You see, so that connection, that communication, the constant communication is building that relationship. And there's a whole lot more that you can do with a good relationship than you can with a cold one that doesn't exist. Okay, does that make sense? Let me see what you guys are saying in the comments. Okay, customer who is losing paid man hours to get some fix that should have worked. Absolutely, but should have worked now, and it all depends. Now, if you're talking about something that is structurally off and it's some mistake that the engineers made, that's a little different than, a glitch happening because somebody else has made an update, to part of a system and all of that. And yes, people lose hours all the time. It happens all the time. How often do you hear about websites going down, internet glitches happening, towers going down? There's a whole lot of things that take place on a regular basis. But I remember I was looking at this. It was a interview that the CEO of Alibaba did. And now Alibaba, at the time of this interview, I think they were 5 times the size of Amazon, I think. Like they had a lot of people that would shop and go through their portal. And he said that, for them, they look at the amount of complaints. They want it to be, I think it's like under 1% or something like that. And because they had, I think it's something like 5 billion users. Don't quote me on the numbers, but I do remember the calculations in my head saying, wow, that's like 5 million people. So 5 million people could complain and it still is not 1% of their business. So if they got 5 million complaints, they said, you know what, we're doing good. That's a lot of complaints, but that's not per capita. So 5 million complaints gives them 5 million pieces of data that they're able to now start to make corrections on. It's also a lot to manage. So they have to have the manpower and the infrastructure in order to be able to handle that. Okay, is that making sense? So they've got to now look at it from a percentage standpoint. And we need to look at things from a percentage standpoint when it comes to putting things out there that don't work. Oh, okay, that didn't work. Okay, so let's now, double down, make it better. Now, those who say, hey, that didn't work to the point that I want a refund, okay, you refund. But if you can recover that, if you can redeem that and say, hey, you know what? Is there a way that we can, supplement that? Is there a way that we can make it better to where you don't want a refund, but we can now show you how to use this in a better way as we continue to improve that? Now you develop a conversation, you develop a relationship, you develop a rapport, because most folks that I've run across, in all the years of doing this, if you have a conversation with them, they are quicker to forgive than they are to refund if they just understand what's going on. There's some who are like, I don't care what's going on, I paid for this and I want my money back, and those you will never recover. However, there are those who say, you know what, I'm really glad that you reached out to me. And that's like if you preemptively reach out, hey, we noticed that there's a glitch that's happening. So if this happens on your end, understand, we understand it, and we've got our text on it right now. People have patience when it comes to that. So let's see what you guys are saying. Okay, process improvement is different from bug fixes. Agree to disagree. Cool deal, cool deal. Yeah, and that's all right, and that's the beauty of the country we live in. Okay, so now what I'm saying is that we have to make sure that we don't get stuck on moving forward because we don't have things perfect. If we wait for things to be perfect in order to make any moves, we'll never get there. Because as we're tweaking, everything else is moving right past us. And we've got to be careful of waiting to be perfect in order to present, because every other imperfect person has presented. What you could do is you manage expectations up front and you say, hey, you know what? This isn't perfect, but here's where we're going. And if you believe in us and you stick with us, this is what our plans are to move forward and to continue to better our last best. Yes, I see that. If we talk to the customer and tell them bad news instead of missing a deal, absolutely. And that's the key. That's the key. That preemptive conversation. But it never takes the place of, oh, I cannot move forward until I'm perfect. Because if you go it at that rate, you'll never put your stuff out there, and you'll never be able to get the feedback. You'll never be able to preemptively have a conversation, say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we need to do, we're on it, just to let you know so that you understand, like, we're a small company starting out and we want to make sure that we have the best for you. And please give us your feedback. How does best look to you for you? Okay, we have our idea, but we want to know what your idea of best for you is. And so that communication will always let them know this is a company that goes above and beyond all other companies that I've dealt with. I've never had a company reach out to me to let me know, for one, what's going on, and then to ask me for my input in the way that they have. So you create this culture where they understand, hey, they're getting it together. Now they're the underdog. You're the underdog that they start to root for, because they're like, they're on it. They stay on top of it. They know when bugs are happening. They know when processes are broken, and they're always in there fixing it, but they let us know. So we're never in the dark about what's happening. We never have to make our own narrative of what we're seeing or not seeing. And people appreciate that more often than I think we give them credit for. A lot of smart broke people out there, absolutely, absolutely, and they have the perfect widget that nobody knows about. While all of the charlatans, and I'm not saying that every major corporation is a charlatan, that don't get that from what I'm saying, but we have charlatans out there who really don't care. They don't care about improving anything. They care about getting your money. They don't communicate, and they put garbage out there on a regular basis, and then they abandon that garbage and they put out new garbage, and they just have a series of garbage and they run the numbers. There's 7+ billion people on the planet. So they already know we can burn a bunch of people and it's still not going to touch the tip of the iceberg of all the people that we can run through before everybody knows that we're garbage. Okay. Meanwhile, all of the folks who are honorable, who really do want to serve the marketplace, are waiting to be perfect. So they can't even compete because nobody knows that they're there. So we have to get our stuff out there in order to let the folks know, hey, we are here ready to serve you, and we need you to let us know how that service looks. And if you let us know, we're there ready to serve you. And so that's a way of making sure that we don't get stuck in perfection because things just don't look right to us. Hoping that that information sounds great to you. Let me know if you've got any questions. I know that there's like a 20 some odd second delay between your comments and what I say and what you hear. So I'm going to hang out for a moment. I'm going to read through some of these comments. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your shares. I appreciate your support on this. Okay, let's see. A lot of smart broke people out there. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so you're hearing life in the background. My kids are watching a documentary, I think. That Dude Perfect documentary is really cool. But if you haven't already, pop on over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/TJH Media Ltd. Like that page because there's going to be a lot of great content coming down the pike on that page. And then also in the link below and in the description below, you're going to see all of the other pages that I would love for you to join and follow and like, because we're going to have another set of great content on all of those, from the foodie page to the, let me see, what other pages are on there? I believe there is the page for the school program that I run. So we're building all of those out, and I would love your input, love your scrutiny, love your keen eye on those pages as well. All right. So on that note, good stuff. All good. Thanks, Don. On that note, I am the Jason Hodge. I will see you momentarily.